Hey guys, it is currently 8:15 in the morning on June 12th, and although I am not beginning edit 9 of Letters from Madman until tomorrow, I am preparing it for editing tomorrow. The formatting for the paperback is completely done, which is what I use for edit 9, which is just a proofread. And generally you want to proofread a PDF so that way you aren't making a ton of off-the-fly changes the whole way through. And a PDF tends to help you look at only the changes that are absolutely necessary instead of, oh, well, maybe this sentence should change again for the 14th time. That kind of thing. So I'm going to flip this around really quick just to show you the PDF process, I suppose, in case you aren't aware of how to save it. And then we'll go from there. Alright, so before I do anything in regards to saving the book, I'm going to go up here to the review tab and where is it? There it is. I'm going to click spelling and grammar and let it run through those, and I'm going to check out all of these and make the corrections that are actually needed, and I'm going to make them here and on the original Google Docs. That's important because I will use that for the ebook formatting as well, so making the changes over there are key. But I'll be back with you after I do that. Alright, it is 9:03 and I just finished going through the Word document to check its spelling errors. And out of all the ones that it highlighted, I corrected 16 of them. The majority of them were things that I hadn't looked at so far, like if a specific word was actually two words or if it was a hyphen in between those two words. That's what most of them were. There was one where I had just forgotten the X in the killer's last name. And there was one issue that was laying/lying. But otherwise, most of it was checking to see if a word needed to be one word, two words, or a hyphenated group of two words. But all of that is fixed. I also discovered that ginormous, which is a word that I use in the book, and a word that's in my vocabulary, is actually an informal British word, which I didn't know because I'm American and I use it. But that's an interesting fact because Microsoft Word doesn't have it in its dictionary. So I had to Google it to make sure that was the correct spelling. But otherwise that's done. So now the only other thing that I need to do to finish preparing this for tomorrow's beginning of editing, I'm going to save it as a PDF. I'm going to do that both on Microsoft Word and Google Docs just to show you how to do it from both of those platforms. Of course, I don't use the current edition of Word. I believe it's 2007, but it should be the same process, I think. But I'm going to flip you around and show you that. Alright, so starting up here, first of all I'm going to normally save it first. And then here I'm going to go to Save As and come down to PDF or XPS. And then once that loads, I'm just going to type edit 9 here, so that way I remember. And it gives me two options after I save it as a PDF, to publish online and printing or publishing online. I do that one because that's a smaller size, and click Publish. And then down here, you just have to wait for all these pages to be done, and then it will be saved. So this from Google Docs is more or less the same process. You come over to File, go to Download, go down to PDF, and then you wait. And it will pop up down here once it downloads, but because my internet's slow, that will take a moment, so I'll be back with you once that's done. Alright, so from here you can just click that and it will open it. You can save it from there, or you can go into your File Explorer and it should be in your downloads, and then you can move it to wherever you need to, either with any of these buttons, or you can just, click it, hold it, and drag it to where you need it. Because I already have the main version actually saved, I'm not going to put it anywhere. I'm just going to end up deleting this copy, but I wanted to make sure you saw both ways. So from here, my only next step is to open it on my iPad and see how things look, and I'll have to record that on my phone to show it to you, but I'll be there in a second. So now that it's ready to go on my iPad here, I'm just going to click it, and what you do with it will depend on what kind of device you have, but from here, I'm able to scroll through it and whatnot. But I'm going to tap on it, and then up here there's this little export button, And I'm going to click that and send it over to my Kindle app. Yeah. That's a new message. I've never seen that before. But I'll be back when it's done. This is also a new message for me, so I'm hoping it works, but it says your document has been uploaded and will be delivered to your Kindle shortly. Okay. So I guess I'm going to wait a few minutes and then open my Kindle app and we'll see if it worked. Okay, so like I said, that was a new message for me. So this is a trial and error process here. This is A, normally not what it looks like, and B, that's my chapter header image, and I scrolled over to find another one, and this is also the beginning of a chapter. So first of all, when I normally do this, these would be two separate pages. Actually, this would be its own page, this would be its own page, this would be its own page, and this would be its own page. But something about this Kindle format thing that it did doesn't work. So I am going to delete this if I can. And I'm going to come back to my email and see if I'm able to move it over without formatting it to Kindle. And if not, we'll just open it every single time I need to edit. Saved over as a normal PDF. Things look as they should. I can scroll through here. And again, things look normal. This looks great. There's no lines here on the side that arise when I don't put it as a transparent image. Chapter 2 also looks fine. Same with Chapter 3. Chapter 4 looks fine. I'm going to see if I can find a scene break somewhere in here. There's one. That looks fine too. And then the headers up here look fine. So I'm going to scroll back to the beginning here on Chapter 1. And then tomorrow I'm going to start with proofreading. And that's pretty much just going to be checking over the punctuation, the spelling. If I'm not sure about a word or a grammar rule, I Google it. That's a good rule of thumb. Check a couple websites, see what the majority says, because there are some rules that are debated. But otherwise, that's what I'm doing. And I'll either see you guys again in the middle of the process or at the end of the process, depending on how things go. Hey guys, it is 9:40 p.m. on June 23rd, and this morning before I headed to bed, I finished edit 9 of Letters from a Madman, which is the final proofread edit of the book. It feels pretty great to be able to say that. I took a couple more days on it than I was expecting to, than I was ready to, but it's done. So, step in the right direction. With this edit, I ended up making a few more changes than I normally would in a proofread edit. There were a few sentences that I was still like, not happy with. So I still changed those, which you normally wouldn't do in a proofread edit, but since I went through some of the other edits so quickly, and since this one was taking me longer, I took the time to make a few more changes. I still made less changes than I have in previous edits, but I still made them. So I ended up making, I'm going to lift you up for a second, 5, 10, 15, 18 changes, not counting the ones that I made before the edit actually started, when I went through words, editing, spell check. My brain's top peak functional today. Some of those changes were more about the scene breaks than anything, like the scene break had moved, or I had accidentally forgotten to put one in, or I had forgotten to delete the asterisk. Those were changes that I needed to make. And then there was one situation where a quotation mark was just completely in the wrong spot, so I fixed that. Some situations where, again, I changed the sentences around a little bit. I had on the field instead of in the field, stuff like that. But I'm happy with that, and I'm going to switch over to Word now. So I'm going to look like this now. But the next step for me is to actually do something that I normally do when I'm formatting the book, but I completely spaced it when I was formatting. So we're going to do it now. So I'm going to flip you around and show you how to do them, just so that way you can see it, because again, it would have been included in my formatting video, but I completely spaced it. But I need to add the hyphens, and I need to shorten the indentations of the paragraphs, so we're going to do that. Alright, so the first thing we're changing is the tabs here. I'm going to go up to the line spacing, click line spacing options, come down here to tabs, and then up here I'm going to change it from 0.5 to 0.25 and just press OK. And then as you can see, that moved it over and made this space much smaller, which is what we need.
So there should be another clip here, but unfortunately for some reason Google Photos doesn't register that the clip is completely uploaded, even though I did it back in June. So it thinks that it's still processing. So I couldn't download it onto my computer, and I can't re-upload it to Google Photos because it was on my iPad, back when my iPad still worked. So the next thing I did was go up to the hyphenation button and change it to automatic instead of not at all. And then the clip immediately after this shows the difference between not having hyphenation and having hyphenation. But it would have seemed like a really weird cut if I didn't come in here quick and clear that up. So here you go. Sorry about that.
I would just like to show you the difference so that you can see it for sure. So this is without hyphenation, and that's with. So you can see that it fills out the paragraphs a little bit better, which is why we need it. I normally do that in the formatting section of all of this, but completely spaced it, but I definitely noticed it while I was editing. And then for me personally, I'm going to make one more final change here to the letters, and I'm going to scroll through and find all of them and make sure I do it. But I've got the whole letter highlighted, and I'm going to come up here and justify it, and I'll show you the difference here. It doesn't make a huge difference, but for the letter section, I just like the way that looks, so that's what I'm gonna do. Hey guys, it's a new day. Anyway, that's all that I have for Edit 9 of Letters from Madman. The next video we'll start covering some more formatting stuff and some other stuff. I'm not 100% sure what my next step is, so at this very moment, because I haven't decided what else I'm doing today, I'm not 100% sure which video will be next in the series, but my next steps involve the large font formatting, the ebook formatting, cover designing for the large font and the normal font, cover formatting for the ebook, which will be done after the other two formats, and I need to write a synopsis. And I still need to finish the paperback formatting in the case of a dedication, the QR code, and all of that stuff. So something revolving around one of those will come next. I'm not 100% sure which one, because at this point in time I'm not 100% sure what my next step is this morning before I head to bed, but you'll find out.
Hello again. Editing Courtney here. Unfortunately, this is the second to last video in this series. After this is when I started having problems with my iPad, so I wasn't able to record videos on the large font process, the ebook process, the cover design, uploading all of it to KDP, or any of that, which sucks because I did a lot of troubleshooting with the cover. I did a lot of tips and tricks to show you ways to make sure that the cover would fit before you went through the effort of doing it, but I just don't have any of that. The next video in this series will actually cover the proof after it arrived and when I checked it over to look for errors. I don't remember everything that is in that video, but I know it was recorded. It was one of the few videos I managed to successfully record on my iPad. So the hope is that things will go well there, but we'll see. I don't remember what it is entirely, but I know it was about the proof and checking it for errors. But that will be the last video in this series. That will be the next video in this series, And if you guys have any questions on any of this process, leave it below. I'm currently working on Serial Killers Anonymous, and that will be a series that I will be filming on my camera, so hopefully I won't have to worry about a device suddenly shitting out on me again. So, if you have any questions that didn't get answered by this one, if you have any questions you want to make sure that I hit in this series for Serial Killers Anonymous, make sure to let me know, and I will absolutely make note of them and make sure that they are touched on in depth in Serial Killers Anonymous. But otherwise, I'm going to take it here to past Courtney and let her give you an outro. Thanks for understanding, guys.
But that is all that I have for this video. If you enjoyed this video on Edit 9, the final proofread, a like is always appreciated. And if you'd like to stay updated on my writing, my editing, the video games I upload, the video game series I upload roughly every Friday, this series, or anything that I do on this channel in between, feel free to subscribe. All the links to my authors pages, as well as links to my social media, in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.